What's going on, guys? Welcome back, and today I am going to be talking about yet another Christmas movie that I wanted to talk about on the channel this year. And today I'm going to be talking about one that perhaps some of you have never heard of or perhaps never seen, and that is One Magic Christmas that came out in 1985. It's a Disney movie, of course, and it is on Disney Plus. You can watch it if you'd like. It's only an hour and a half. And just to kind of give you a quick rundown of the plot, because I'm assuming a lot of you have not seen or heard of this movie, it follows this family of, two children and two parents, and they're just really struggling financially, but the mother does not believe in the spirit of Christmas, whereas kind of everyone else in the family does, especially her husband. And this angel, Gideon, is, I believe, tasked by Santa Claus himself to basically reinstill that sense of Christmas spirit within the mother of these children. And in that regard, it could be seen as a very stereotypical storyline for a Christmas movie. A lot of Christmas stories follow the same formula of someone whose belief in the spirit of Christmas has perhaps long passed, and that belief has to be reinstilled into them. The story of A Christmas Carol is very similar to that with the character of Scrooge. But this movie is just very different and bizarre in that regard. It has a very strange plot. It's so weird. And I watched it with my friend last night, and it's actually very funny if you think about it in a certain way, but we'll get back to that later. Something that's just really cool about this movie, and perhaps is why I have such an affinity for it, is that a lot of it was filmed actually very near to where I live. I believe a majority of the film was shot in Meaford, Ontario, and some additional scenes were shot in Owen Sound. And I live very close to that area, and I visited that area very frequently because that is where my Nana lived until very recently. So it's just kind of a cool thing whenever you see locations or places in a movie, and that's perhaps why I'm kind of a little bit biased towards this movie. I don't know, but really, I just think it's much different than a lot of other Christmas movies in the fact that it's kind of weirdly dark. A lot of Christmas movies nowadays are just a little bit sanitized. Like, I believe there was a movie that came out a couple years ago on Netflix that stars Kurt Russell as Santa, and the story could potentially be kind of interesting and explore some dark elements, but it never really bothers to go into them that much. This movie is just very much about the people within society and the world that just don't have it off very good. Like, they don't have life very good. It follows this family that, once again, is struggling financially, and you see throughout the film a bunch of different people who are struggling as well, and perhaps are even worse off. Like, their neighbors are even worse off because it's just this one child and her mother. And then you see this other guy who just wants to get his kid a Christmas present, but he doesn't have enough money and no one's willing to help him out. And you're just seeing all these different perspectives of people who are just really struggling throughout the world. And I find that very fascinating that this film actually bothered to explore kind of people within the world who just don't have it very good. Like, their life just kind of sucks. And I like that they bothered to do that, because a lot of Christmas movies are like about people recognizing the true things that they value in their lives and how good they actually have it. But I like that this story just explores how, for some people out there, life just sucks. And I think that's really interesting, and I'm glad that this movie explores that. It's something that I feel a modern kind of Disney or Christmas movie wouldn't bother to explore, and it still manages to be really funny despite a lot of the dark undertones. It's very charming, and it's got a lot of funny moments, especially from kind of the two young kids. And I mean, the young kids, like the young kid actors, they aren't particularly like amazing. Like, their acting abilities aren't like fantastic, but I don't really know what you're expecting. Like, they're probably like 4 or 5 years old, so I don't know what people are expecting there. Like, they're not Oscar-worthy performances, but they are serviceable for what the movie is, because it is kind of like a corny older movie, but it does have some kind of unique spins on the cliched elements of these Christmas stories. And what's really funny about this movie was that while I was watching it with my friend, he made me view it in a way that I'd never viewed it in before, and it made it like 10 times more entertaining. And basically, I viewed it as if it was a movie where Santa Claus hires a hitman to murder this woman's husband because she doesn't believe in Christmas. And it's really funny. because obviously, once again, Santa tells this guy to, reinstill the spirit of Christmas within this woman. And midway through the movie, kind of everyone convenes at this bank. As I said earlier, there's a character who just has it off really bad. No one wants to support him, and all he wants to do is get a Christmas present for his son, but no one's willing to lend him the money to do so. So he goes in to rob this bank, and everyone shows up at the bank, the husband, the wife, and he ends up shooting this woman's husband, and then this chase ensues, and then he drives off a bridge into the river, and the kids get saved by the angel. And obviously the movie plays out differently, and it's kind of a crazy plot. By the end, time gets reversed. It's like the young daughter goes to visit Santa at the North Pole, and he gives her the letter that her mother wrote when she was a child, and brings it back to her so that she will kind of remember her younger years and how she used to be in awe of Santa and, believed in the spirit of Christmas. And then she decides to mail her daughter's letter, which thus kind of reinstills the spirit of Christmas within her. And then time gets reversed, which is signified by all the Christmas lights turning on, because earlier in the movie there was this creepy scene where all the Christmas lights turned off, and then they turn back on, and her husband walks around the block as if nothing had happened, and it's like time has been reversed by a day. And then she basically gets to relive the events of the prior day, but realizes that she has to change kind of the way she acted and her attitude, and she decides to loan the guy the money that he needed to support his son. And I really like that. I always like that message of, the spirit of Christmas. I feel like kind of the point is that she thought that what the spirit of Christmas was just a bunch of people kind of putting on a facade at a certain time of year, but she realizes that it's just a time to give to others, and whether or not things look like they're going to be okay, you have to have hope that they will. Belief in something is not just believing in the supernatural, it's believing in hope, having hope that things will get better. And throughout the entire film, she's kind of just trying to be the realist to her husband, who has belief in Christmas and in that spirit, and he thinks everything's going to turn out okay. He wants to start a bike shop, and throughout the entire film, she's telling her husband that that's not a realistic goal. But by the end of the movie, once she kind of has the spirit of Christmas reinstilled within her, she realizes that the spirit of Christmas means to have hope, and she decides to write a check to her husband for Christmas. Despite how that's going to, deplete the amount of money they have in their bank account, she has hope that things will work out. And I like that concept. I like that kind of they go into that a little bit, is that being the realist isn't always a good thing. Like, she's trying to be realistic throughout the entire movie, just using science fact, right? There's a type of bias within religion known as science fact versus belief. And I like that they discuss how being right, like scientifically, doesn't always beat out belief. It's not always a good thing. And that having belief in something, having hope that things will turn out better, is sometimes better than just being the realist. And I really like that this movie bothers to explore that. And I think it's just a solid movie. Like, once again, the acting isn't, like, Oscar-worthy, but it's not trying to be. And especially considering a lot of other Disney movies that came out around the same time, or at least Christmas movies that came out around the same time and that come out nowadays, I feel like it's just kind of a shining example of how to subvert a lot of people's expectations. It's weirdly dark, once again. People, like, get murdered and stuff, and it's, like, a weirdly kind of dark story, but it also has hope and fun and, humor, and it's a charming movie, and I just think it's definitely an underrated one that not a lot of people know about. Perhaps I have a bias towards it because it was filmed, like, near where I live, so it's just kind of cool to watch this movie and recognize the locations within it, but I just think it is really solid and kind of subverts the common tropes of Christmas movies, and I really like this one. My mom introduced it to me a while ago, and it's taken me kind of a while to fully appreciate it, but I think it is a really solid movie, and I'd recommend those of you who have perhaps not heard of it and who have not seen it, to check it out, because I think it's definitely an underrated Christmas movie amongst a lot of other ones that kind of fall into the same tropes and cliches. So you guys, please let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Have you seen One Magic Christmas? Are you going to watch it? Just whatever your thoughts are, please let me know them all in the comments below. And of course, as always, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.